Hello everybody, this is your friend Darren Iman, the master of shenanigans, and today I'm really excited. On this episode of Quickdraw, I'm going to be doing one of my favorite characters of all time, Rob Liefeld's greatest creation, the Merc with a Mouth, Deadpool. Okay, I'm very well might have bitten off more than I can chew on this one, ladies and gentlemen, because I am going to be drawing the entire torso of Deadpool, only because drawing his face, it's just a mask. I mean, I could do that in like 2 minutes, so this might be a little much. I'm going to try and do both pencil and ink in 10 minutes. I'm going to race through it. I might not get a chance to go to ink, but let's see how well we do. Stopwatch. Go. Here we are, Deadpool. Now I've already got the position in mind. I'm going to have him, his arms coming down, kind of a dramatic superhero pose, holding a couple of daggers, I think. I think that's what's going to work, looking down. So this will be my pose. Again, as you can see, I'm not wasting any time here. And I think probably I'm going to do ink only because in this case it might actually be a time saver, specifically because in order to get this done as fast as I want to, I'm going to have to keep these pencils very, very sloppy. And rather than sort of erase the underdrawing, I'll just go over it with ink, and that actually might save some time. So let's find out. So we're just kind of doing contours right now, the contour of everything. As you can see, I'm laying down like 100 lines for everything because this is a great, fantastic illustrator's technique where I lay down about 100 different lines as fast as possible, and then when it comes time to ink, I just pick the best lines, the ones that I think define the shape the most, and leave the rest out. So waist should be about here. I don't want his arms to be too short. Okay. So let's bring his rib cage up. I know people that are looking at this right now are thinking, wow, this is just so sloppy. And I can assure you that any illustrator, when they start out, you know, watch some more YouTube vids if I'm the only, and check out like Jim Lee, for instance, on Twitch. And you will see that all sketches start out this loose. Very, very loose. And the detail comes later. Jeez, this pencil is tearing. You know, I bought this sketchbook about a week ago, thinking I'll save some money because it's like a generic sketchbook, and I think I really screwed up because, as you can tell right here, my pencil actually tore through the paper. And I mean, this is an HB. Now imagine if I was drawing with a much harder lead. So yeah, case in point, you know. Okay, so I'm already at over 3 minutes. I'm gonna have to go in with the ink here very, very soon. I've got a brush to help speed up the process. I know all of you out there are rooting for me. You're all saying you can do it. And if you're not, what the hell is wrong with you? Okay. Although for those of you watching this video right now just screaming, fail, 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 I understand the impulse. And the arms aren't quite long enough. This is not the point where I want to be making mistakes. I should have had it right the first time, but I didn't. Make the arms a bit longer. Okay, we got our zebra pen, brush tip. Now this is not only a time saver, but it lets me really control the line weight brush tip. So as you can see, I've left a space between the broken line here because that's where my light source is going to be, and yet underneath the head here, I've made the lines quite thick because that's where I'm going to drop shadow. I'd like to make this whole thing a tutorial, but in the 5 minutes and 30 seconds I have left to me, I don't think that is going to happen. And drop your shoulders a bit, they're a little too high. You can't see it, but off camera, Conan, my cat, is bothering me. He's rooting for me to fail as well. And he lives here, so don't feel too bad. Okay, interesting thing about Deadpool is he has a lot of pouches. The reason why I say this is interesting is because if you're a comic book historian like I am, you'll know that Deadpool is a Rob Liefeld creation. And Rob Liefeld was one of the guys that formed Image Comics back in the 90s. And that whole 90s comic era is really kind of defined by over-the-top action sequences, ridiculously huge, unrealistic anatomy, and because of Liefeld, pouches. He was the king of pouches. He would draw every character that he ever designed would have pouches on their belt, pouches on their ankles, pouches on everything. And you know, a lot of people kind of bug him for it, but it makes sense to me. I mean, if I'm a superhero and I'm out and about, like, they don't have pockets. How would I have change for the subway? And you know, army guys, they all have pouches, right? Okay, 622, down to the wire. He has gloves. And I'm really winging this, hoping that I don't make them too big or too small. Seems to work. Now we got to put some anatomy detail. Let's do the eyes first here. Liefeld gets a bad rap because he was like the quintessential kind of 90s artist, but I still really love his work. I think that he's a cartoonist. He's not meant to be, his anatomy isn't meant to be perfect, you know? It's funny to me that no one rails on Walt Disney. I mean, Mickey Mouse does not look like a mouse, and yet no one rails on him. I think probably because comic books are seen less of a cartoon media, especially in recent days where we have guys like Alex Ross who, well, paint photorealistic comics, but you know, teach his own thing. Alex Ross is the guy that got me started on gouache paint, and specifically Winsor Newton, and I've never gone back. Love that stuff. Speaking of Winsor Newton, I have my Winsor Newton Series 7 brush here, and I'm going to have to get into it. We're already at 8 minutes, good lord. Just to spot these blacks. Now, his costume comes down like this, covers the abs, and I'll just mimic this on the other side. Okay, let's add a little bit of musculature here. And we'll go ahead and add our shading in the lighter areas, and you'll see why only the lighter areas, because the darker areas, that black is going to be very, very heavy, and that's all going to be done with the brush. So, let's get right into it. 9 minutes, I have 1 minute to spot the blacks. Can it be done? Whoops, he lost an eye. Alright, that's what whiteout is for. $9.20. Okay, let's leave refracted light under the pec muscle. And finally, stop. 9:57. Wow, okay. Now I do think that, guys, don't fault me. Don't fault me here. Let me get something. I do think that on this one, I am going to cheat a little bit, even though I said he has to have that eye. And just really, really fast. I know I'm cheating, but come on. I bit off a lot on this one. He needs to have the daggers. Okay, there we go. So not too bad. Oh well, and let's wait for this to dry. And we'll have the eyes. Okay, so not too bad. We got ourselves a fairly decent Deadpool. Let's zoom in on it here. And I'd like to say that this was drawn in 10 minutes or less, but technically it was drawn in about 10 minutes, 20 seconds. I promise I won't tell anyone if you won't, and we will see you next time.